What is up, everyone? Today we're going to be looking at Zion Williamson, who, in my opinion, has been wildly under talked about in what has so far been a really good sophomore season for Zion. And I think a couple of factors go into that. One, obviously, the Pelicans have been struggling so far this season. They're off to a rough start. They're near the bottom half of the Western Conference. So I think that, and then the success of LaMelo Ball. LaMelo has kind of been more of the hype, more of the talk, kind of the newer thing so far this season. So I think the combination of those two things are playing a factor in why we haven't been hearing or seeing as much of Zion so far this season. But regardless, by almost all, if not all metrics, he's had a better season than last season. You see here, he's doing 24.5 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 2.9 assists. He's shooting 60% from the field, and he is down from three, but I don't read really into that at all. I think 37% is more of an anomaly. I think 30 is more of the means of what to expect from him. And he really doesn't take very many at all. So I don't look too much into that. His free throw percentage is slightly up. His efficiency is slightly up. And his PER is even slightly up. Obviously, the win shares are down because the Pelicans haven't been playing as well as a unit. To look more in depth at the side-by-side in terms of this year and last year, first of all, Xenos, that's a dope nickname. But here you'll see all across the board, even in areas like his turnovers are down, he's averaging double the amount of blocks and his steals are up. So he's been, exactly that, better than he was last season. And he was good last season. But to get into the actual analysis on Zion, obviously the thing that is most known or most obvious with Zion is, his freakish strength and athleticism mixed with his size. That's kind of what makes Zion Zion, along with, of course, a plethora of other skills he has. But that's what stands out most. But I think the next two things that I don't want to say underrated, because at this point we know most of his game so well, being as prominent as he is. But the next two things I would say are his ball handling ability and his ability to play make. Unfortunately, we won't have too much of the playmaking here in this clip, just because these are highlights from this season, and he hasn't been put in a position as much this season. The Pelicans have 3 point guards. They've got Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe, and Kyrie Lewis. So he hasn't been asked to play make as much this season, but he's shown flashes. But the ball handling is something that we will see a couple of times, and I think that's one of his most underrated, most important skills, is how good of a ball handler he is. You'll see, I think right here, his favorite move, he loves any combination of an in-out move, as you saw right there. He'll hit you with an in-out between the legs, an in-out crossover, an in-out hesitation, in-out behind the back. Now, really, the in-out crossover is when he goes to the most, other than just the plain in-out. But he loves, let me go back to it one more time, that move. And it's no wonder why, considering once he gets you on his hip, and you hear that about so many guys, but with him, once he gets you on his hip, it's truly over. Him being as big and strong as he is, there's almost nothing you can do. He plays really low to the ground with not only just does he have a low center of gravity, but with his ball handling as well. And I think that helps, and I'll get into that here in a second, really why. But a couple other things to mention: he's got phenomenal footwork. He's got he's kind of a hybrid. So to say he has guard-like footwork is almost feels wrong, because he kind of is a guard, but he's got great footwork that he uses in and around the paint. And then his finishing, as you see it right there, I think that'd be the next thing that people, may not see as prominent with him, because you see all the highlight dunks and all the stuff like that, but his pure finishing around the rim is really good. It's just a couple of them right there. Left hand, right hand, he's, in general, just got all types of finishes, not just above but below the rim. There you see an example of that, really a combination of almost three things: the low center of gravity, the ball handling, and that's one of the many things that makes it such a matchup nightmare. Porzingis doesn't have a chance right here. He's so low to the ground. He plays He's already almost only 6'6", and he's undersized at his position, but he plays so low that right there's almost nothing Porzingis could have done. Now, that isn't good defense, but that's really tough to stop. Yeah, him really around the rim at all is a nightmare. It's because of his ability to finish above it, below it with either hand. He prefers obviously to go left. He loves going to his left, but he can finish right as well. I think something else, just that him being his size and playing that he does, that's huge, is oftentimes you'll notice he comes up and finishes through defenders. He'll get a lot of swipe downs like right there that allow him to get and ones because he's coming up. Uh, being that he's only 6'6", 6'7", they list him at. I think he's more of a 6'6". I've actually met Zion, but he finishes through a lot of contact on his way up towards the rim, and he converts. It allows him to get a lot of and ones because he's really just getting swipes, and he's as strong as he is. Now, something else, and he thought about there, you saw that Zion can do is, and part of it's because of his ball handling ability, he can post up from really anywhere, and he's almost impossible to get off his spot. And that's, there you saw it with the ball. But he can do it without it. He can post up 5 steps outside of the paint, and he's still a problem just because he can face you up, and bigs won't stand a chance in guarding when he does that. So he's a problem posting up, not just in the paint or near the paint, but anywhere. Now, as this, I think, kind of winds down, just some other things I want to mention with Zion are going to be he's a great, really good help side defender. There you see another post up, but he's a really good help side defender. Being as athletic he is and as quick as he is, he's got great feet. He can really come over and send shots that you'll see him do a lot of times. Um, and then really some kind of weaknesses or things Zion can definitely work on is while he is a really good help side defender, he can be a better on ball defender, which is odd, and it's more so on the perimeter. And I say that's odd because you talk about how good his footwork is and how quick he is. There at times he gets blown by on the perimeter, so he can be better there, but he's not bad, and it shows promise. His perimeter shooting obviously can be improved. It's not something he needs to worry about in the short term, of course, but I would say long term you definitely like to see that get better. He doesn't need it at this point. And then his conditioning, while it has gotten noticeably better. He was struggling. That was something that was huge on him last year. It seemed like he was out of shape. He's gotten a lot better at it to where it's not a problem, but I think his conditioning can still increase. There are still times on the court where you'll see him laboring, you'll see him kind of fatigued. But that's really all I've got on Zion. If you got anything you want to comment or share, feel free to let me know. And if you got any suggestions on any other guys you want to see me break down, let me know that as well. As always, I hope you enjoyed.